Okay, so we're just going to make a brief video here, a follow-up on the SX that I bought the other day. So let's just check. I said that there was a bit of a loud noise coming out when or noise when I didn't touch the strings, and I suspected, like my other SX, it's not very well earthed. So I've got my continuity meter, touch the bridge, very slight continuity there, very slight continuity. So I guess that I'm going to take it apart and have a look. I've done the same trick, as you can see. I've marked around with tape. These are vintage tuners, so they're easier to take strings in and out. But what I'm going to do, switch that off, move the meter out of the way. I'm going to take this off with the screwdriver, lift it up, do the trick of putting a little bit more copper continuity tape underneath there, and that should give it a better fix, or a better mate. So I'll get on with that and we'll see how we get on. Okay, so I've taken the screws out. I released the tension a little bit. Now I can lift it up, and I'm going to use the fleece that came with the guitar, just so I can plonk this over here out of the way and keep it away. And I don't know if you can see here, maybe I'll offer it up. It's the standard sort of really terrible tiny piece of wire that's barely touching. So we'll just put a bit of tape over that, maybe a bit underneath and a bit on top. And also what I'll do in a minute, I'll see, because I also had a 4-string Jaguar VM bass, and I replaced that with a Warman heavier mass bridge. So what I do is I take the opportunity of offering up the Fender bridge to the SX to see how the screws go. They're going to be different, but why? Because the Warman was a straight replacement on the Jazz, on the Jaguar. So I might be lucky. I mean, I shouldn't be, because a Jaguar and a Jazz bass are not the same, but let's give it a go. Okay, so we've taken that off. We've torn a couple of pieces of this copper strip off, and here's the original Fender bridge, so I get it in the shot. This is the current SX bridge, and if I offer them up to each other, maybe you can't see, but the screw holes are perfect. It's almost exactly the same bridge. If anything, the SX is slightly longer, but the Warman bridge, I'll check it later on the vintage modified. But the point is that the screws, apart from these 2 screws at the front, so there's 2 missing screws at the front, but I think 5 screws at the back ought to be enough to hold it in. I mean, I'll do some math about how much tension is there, but that ought to be enough. So I can put that bridge away. I don't want to scratch anything. Peel off the tape. Just lift this up. Stick the tape under there so it's right up against the edge. Then I'll put the original wire over the top, the bridge wire, and then I'll try and stick this copper on top, and I'll see if I can make it go slightly a little bit back so it goes across the screws there, and that way I've sandwiched the bridge wire so it should have really good continuity. Now let's just see if I can find the meter whilst we're here. This time I'm actually using a camera mount, so I can use 2 hands. This is good advice that someone gave me. So let's just check that. Yep. Ooh. That's not brilliant. Could be my meter. No. Actually, even that doesn't want to conduct. Okay. That's better. That's better. I don't know. Maybe my thing was dirty. Who knows? Or there's some polish. Oh, that's good. So now we've got continuity going from the bridge wire to the control panel, and that means that when we screw this back in, we should be good. And the other really great news from my perspective is I can stick a Warman high mass bridge on there without fear of contradiction, or some other make, but Warman make very good, reasonably priced products, and I like them a lot. So yeah, I'll be putting this back on. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this control panel up. So I'll do that in a moment. I'll just open the control panel up and we'll have a look inside. Well, I'm a bit colourblind. I was initially in this light hopeful that there was black paint in there, but it's actually blue. So there's no continuity inside, no shielding, so that'll have to be done. Let's just check the... yeah, that's much better. So all the pots are grounded, whilst I'm here, these are sort of the fairly small pots. Let me just get into view, have a look, see my bald head. Actually, it doesn't even say what they are. Is there a... No, there's no marking on the actual value of these things. Let's see if we can just get a resistance on here. Let's put 2 meg. What is it across there? It's not on, that's what it is. Alright, that's a very strange reading. 2 meg 0.007. Okay. 0.007. .007. So on 200k, seven 200s. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, that's a stupid number. 20k. 7. Ah. Wait a minute, am I measuring the coils there? Is that what I'm doing? That would make sense, actually. In fact, whilst we're there, across there. Yeah, about 7, I think is what it's saying. Just check that again. So about 7. Okay, I'll check that in a minute, but yeah, I can't tell the values of the pots. I don't even know what they are. They're no names, so that's something you might want to change at one point. I got some alpha pots somewhere, and I'll probably do that. Okay, so we've taken the pick guard screws out. Let's try and get this pick off. If you remember, what did I say earlier? There's no shielding on the back of that, so that's going to need to be done. I'll put that to one side. At least there is a bit of space in here. I mean, sure. I'm in 2 minds about single coils because by definition the energy comes in the top, so the shielding's not going to solve that side of it. You'll need some sort of hum canceller or reverse wound. I haven't checked if it has that on these. But one thing, if you remember on the first video, I noticed I couldn't screw these down anymore. So what I'll be doing is taking these screws out, using a little drill bit, a tiny drill bit, just to deepen the hole a bit, because this needs to come down. This pick is way too high. In fact, actually, if I try and push it now, okay, it goes down a bit. It's the soft cushion underneath I'm using to protect the back of the guitar. So I'll be getting on with that and testing out what's happening there, putting some of the copper tape in here. There's not a lot to shield here, and I'll put it inside there on the back. I don't need to put it on the back of the control panel because by definition that's metal. I'll put some on the back of the guard there and cut round it, and we'll see how it sounds for quietness after that. Okay, thanks. So one interesting thing, at first I didn't think there was much wire, but of course you can just move this control panel a little bit, then you get more access. So you just take a bit of tape, try and stick it in the middle. It doesn't have to be pretty. Stick it more or less in the middle, and then start to radiate out. Push it down and just get it into the corners. And then what you'll do is you'll wrap a tube around the outside. Normally I like to find some sort of back of a pencil or something. Actually I've got one here. There's one I prepared earlier. It's got a little rubber on it and a razor, whatever you call it in your country. And just tease it in, because otherwise, if you think you're at the edge and you're not, there's a tendency to be a bit brute force. I'm certainly brute force. And the problem with that is that you then tear the copper, and then you've got holes. And the Faraday cages still work with holes because by definition cages, but it's nice to not do that if you can help it. Actually, one thing I've noticed already, there seems to be a little cavity inside the cavity, so that might be a bit of a problem. So then you just rip that bit off there. I've got a craft knife somewhere if I want to use that. Just take that off there, and then I can put a bit more around the outside So I'll just finish that off, and then I'll do the same in this cavity. But first, and also I noticed that there's springs underneath the ceramics. So normally what happens is the wires come in towards the control panel. I'll check on the back, because one guy, I'll give him credit in the video when I find him, he's a nice guy. He says that his tech turned this reverse, this bridge pickup round the other way, and he claims it made quite a difference to the tone. Thinking on whether it puts you out of phase, I don't know, because all it's done is 180 degrees. I don't know. We'll see. The nice thing about this guitar is it's very easy to access, and it's nicely made. So yep, okay, more as we find it. Okay, another day. So we are doing this bit of the cavity. What I've done is I've made a small tear here, just so it can fit under the control wire, and this front face doesn't have any obstructions. So the idea is, can we tease that bit in, get this round, and then once we've done that, I'll get a craft knife out and stop that bit. So that's what I'm going to do, and we'll see how that bit works. Okay, so we've just put the copper inside this cavity here. Just use that trick, like I said, of the pushing down with the rubber, and I thought I'd revisit the measurement of the coils again, because when I did it originally I was getting silly answers, and I think I realized why. The actual black and reds on this first pickup, sorry, on this first potentiometer, are not the black and reds of the coil. So if I follow the black and the reds through, for some reason the black's on this one. So if I touch that and that, I'm now getting a coil reading. Oh, I was getting a coil reading. Let's try it again. Wait a minute, that black is there. Yeah, that red is there. So let me put that red on there. Take the glass off to get in there closer. I'm definitely touching that. I'm definitely touching that. 6.94. And then again the yellow and the black. So I'll follow the black wire. It's going to the same common point. Doesn't matter if you use the red or the black to measure this, because it's a continuity of resistance. 7.7k. So the neck pickup is 7.7, the front, what did I say, 6.9? If I get it. 6.8. 6.8, 6.8-ish. So that's quite good. That's not too bad. That's fairly high output. I was getting about 7 on my P-bass front pickup, and a really bad 4 and 4.5 on the stock pickup on the VM Vintage Modified, and I replaced it with the Ironstone. So there's no need to replace these at this moment, although they are a little bit microphonic. I think you can get some really funky, sit the bass near the amp and you can get some woo if you like that kind of thing. So yeah, I might replace them for that reason. They may not have been potted properly, so that might be the issue. Okay, so we've done it such that when we put this down, there's no copper facing. Let me just turn it off, and I've got to make a cut in that. But once we do that way round, then we should be okay, because just throw that in there a second. There shouldn't be any copper facing. And one thing, I don't know if I forgot to mention it or not, but I checked the radius from the radius gauge, and it's definitely a 12-inch radius. Yeah, 12 inch. So that's quite nice. I mean, the Fenders are 7, 9.5, that sort of thing. The 12 is a little bit flatter. So if you're bending, although I don't do that much on the bass, it's easier. But I don't know, I quite just like the flat necks. As I get older, my hands are not as grippy as they used to be. If you're young, you don't believe me. When you're my age, you will believe me. So there's something about the neck profile I find very comforting. So maybe that's why older people like these and younger people don't. But anyway, you can see we're almost done. We've got the pick guard to cut out here, which I'll find my craft knife in a minute. Oh, I've got to just make this hole a bit deeper. So what I did was I put this one in, and I just teased out with a pencil where the holes were for the pick guards, for the pickup screws, and then I just popped those through, and I just made them a little bit deeper. When they're on their own, these little drivers are quite good, very cheap, from one of the local supermarket, funnily enough, in the UK, and they got quite a bit of control to go in and out and a bit of torque on them. So that allowed me to not strip the screw, go a little bit deeper. Careful not to go through, don't go through your bass. If you do that, I hold no responsibility. So I'm just about to take this out, fit that. I might try the trick of swapping it round. I'm in two minds. I mean, I figure it's not that hard to do, because easy to do it now and test it than it is to do it later, but I'll make the decision when I get to it. Okay, more in a minute. Actually, you see here, I'm just moving on. When I was about to untake this off, I got the screwdriver setting around the wrong way, and actually, you see that is bringing it down. You choose the right bit, so that is bringing it down. So this is a very narrow bit, and that's able to pull in, and there's a torque setting, you can hear it clicking in. So this is quite a, oh, get out of the right way, quite a thin bit, and I think that's what you need for these screws. And before, maybe I was using the wrong bits, so they didn't turn so well, so I may have disrespected these, but it's gone down quite a bit now. So let's carry on with the setup. As I started to shield this back cavity, of course I originally had the tape coming across the edge here, thinking, oh, the pick guard will hide it, but no, this is the different style where the pick guard won't hide it. So now what it occurs to me as I look at it is that, sure, I can shield that, but what am I doing? In order for that to work, I would then have to put an earth lead between this copper in here, so it's at the same potential the others. And that's not a big deal, because it's just a case of screwing some tiny screw in there, wrapping a piece of wire or solder onto the copper and running across. But actually it's a lot of grief, and I think this thing's always going to be hot. So what I've decided is I'm not going to shield this back pickup, but I will for the minute. You see, I put the wire going away from the, so it could, that's the way it would be. I put it going that way. In fact, that's how I put it that way. Let's have a look. Yeah, I must have done, because I guess it was like that. Because one thing I would say, it's quite nice, they've got a generous piece of wire on here. At one point, not now, when I replace these pots, what I'll be doing is wrapping this wire around in little tight loops, which is good practice, so that if a noise comes in, because the wires are wrapped, it will go down each channel respectively and add and subtract. So this is a nice way of noise cancelling for cheap, or using shielded wire. But I put a generous piece of wire on there, so I think at the moment what I'll do is I'll turn it round like this, and we'll put it back. So I think it was Cool Bass or whatever. I need to look up his name. I'll give him credit because he was cool. Hence the name Cool Bass. So I'll put it back together, because what have we done? We left that as it is. We've put the wire there. In fact, I'm just going to put a little bit more, just a teeny little bit more copper across here, because if I don't, I'm going to worry about it. So just a little bit more to extend that along there, and that way all of the screws will get some sort of continuity on them, which will just add to the effect. It's no harm, it's fairly cheap. As I said, it's the double-sided, sorry, it's the copper tape where the glue is conductive. Let's just prove that again. I've done it on other videos, but let's just prove it, because if I touch here and here, or here and there, these are two independent parts of the copper. Interesting. Oh yeah, yeah. So at the moment, you see the pot is contacting, therefore the plane. This copper isn't, and you need it to be shielded or at a zero potential for it to act as a Faraday cage. But when we stick this on, it ought to, if I make sure I don't get the wires trapped, it ought to be touching. Yeah, so that's, you see it's going through the there now. So this is good. So we will have a Faraday cage. I don't need to put a star joint in. Normally I put a star joint in. There's no need. So I'll put it back together and we'll see what it sounds like. Okay, cheers. So yeah, we got those back in. That's screwed in okay. Now I suddenly realised I have these other pickups that I bought. I have a Steinberger, if you've seen the videos, XT25, and I got these soap bars that would not quite fit in without routing, but it looks like they'll fit in here. So if I want to change, I mean, I said this was 6, wasn't it? And I think these are 11 or so. In fact, I could probably measure them now if I wasn't so stupid. Yeah, let's measure them now. So those were 11. I could finally find out what he sound like other than just putting them upside down on top of a set of strings to here. Let's put it on 20k. So this one here, if I don't like the sound, well, I do like the sound of these pickups, by the way, but if I want to get a different sound, let's have a look. 12.8, 12.9. So if I wanted a bit more output, and actually while I'm at it, I wonder if the war blades would go in there. Now what I'll do is I'll pause. Let me see if I can find the war blade and have a look. I'll be back. Yeah, the war blade would fit in from the perspective of and now I think I remember earlier I said there was some sort of little divots, and now I get it, because those little divots would allow these to go. Maybe they need to be a bit wider, I don't know, but there's definitely a little groove in here. It looks like it might accommodate a humbucker. Now the question is, would it be wide enough? I don't know. I'd have to look at the strings. I mean, it might be better. The 5-string Steinberger is just a little bit too wide for these. What I was going to do is to try and put them into a P-bass type setup with the Warmans. These things are killer. These things sound freaking awesome, yeah. I really want to get them in. I'm too scared at the minute. With all these lockdown situations, my brother and I are separated, or one of my brothers and I are separated, and we can't. He's the woodworker, or at least, you know, I'm not. So I have all the tools. He has the actual balls. Yeah, I don't want to cut into the wood. And some of the experiments I tried didn't work so well. But I wanted to put the two of them there on the Steinberger, because these things are killer. They're so quiet and noiseless almost, and they just sound cool. Yeah, really awesome sound out of them. But we'll leave it like that. So that it's nice. They've routed it so you can put a double size pickup if you want in. So this one, what is this one? 89 by 38. Put it back up here so I don't lose it. This one I think is 102 by 38, and that's about the limit of what's going to go in there. Maybe a little bit longer, but yeah, obviously this one at the back is just a single coil pickup, so it's not going to fit a double. But it didn't occur to me to offer those up, so I just thought I'd share that whilst I'm here. Things just pop into my mind, and sometimes they're useful. Okay, we'll finish putting it together. Cheers. So one more thing that someone had said, that there was another poly on there, and they're right. There's this layer, you can see I'm just pulling it off. When I was cutting the pick guard with a knife, I realised that there's this extra layer here. So let's just peel that off. Okay. Ah, that brings the flag off. Right. Now I know why. All the people selling them second-hand on eBay with the flag, they haven't understood there's a second layer. Not having anything against the American flag, I mean it's fine, but clearly that was designed that you can take it off. Alright, so I'll just tease this bit off here by the screws, and then I'll offer it up and start to put the screws on bit by bit. So I've really taken the pick guard down. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just raise it up a little bit before I put it back, because that's gone quite low now. I always do them diagonally opposite. Old habit, I guess. Now let's just see if that's moving, or is it stuck by one of these. So I think this screw needs to come up a bit here. So let's just raise them up gradually. Yeah, so you can see when you got it right, because the spring underneath the screw starts to move the pickup up. Not the best system. I know other people, and that's moving a bit now. Okay, I think that'll be okay, because the bridge is going to be about the height. That should be about right. So okay, I will take this off, screw it back in, and we should be back in business soon. Okay, so we've got all the screws in. Of course, the thing to remember is that I put my screws in different places, so the slightly longer ones go into the bridge. Although those are really small screws for bridge, because the Warman ones I thought were quite small. I mean, if it's the first time you put it in a guitar, they're fine, but the Squier ones are slightly fatter. So I don't know, it should be okay. You see I've lifted the pick guard round so that I don't get it caught in the screws. And let's just put this back in. So I put those 3 screws in here in this little box. It's a good idea to keep things separate if you can. So stick one in. Is that around the right way? I think so. Just give it a little bit of a tighten, just a little bit. Put that over there so I don't touch the guitar. I'm not normally this careful, by the way, with guitars, because normally I think I bought a cheap guitar and it doesn't matter if I abuse it. It's not that I like abusing things, I'm just not very careful. But I like this guitar, it's quite nice. So I don't want to ruin it if I can help it. Hopefully I haven't. I've got a few guitars, not many. I haven't quite got gas like other people. For me it's just the colours and the styles. So the Steinberger was bought for travel, and because I'm from the 80s, so it just reminds me of being younger. It's nothing like the real Steinberger, but as a travel guitar it goes okay. I've gigged with it, it's fine. Just that the strings are a bit close for my fingers, but if you see the people that are good on it on the internet, they normally have quite thin fingers. Yeah, that noise, by the way, is the torque setting on the gun coming in. It's not me stripping the threads. So that should be good there. That's in, that looks tight. Now what I want to do is to get my straight edge, because apparently it's a two-way truss rod. So I got this one from G&W rather, Guitars and Woods in Portugal, and while I like its precision, a lot of people say you can just use a straight edge. Here's a straight edge. You can get them from Wicks in the UK. They're very cheap. They're not very straight. And if you put this up against the fretboard, I mean, some people make notches in it, but this one's got the notches in it for the 34-inch scale and the 30-inch because I have a short scale. The thing about it is that even when it looks good to the naked eye, you can still put sort of 0.015 thousandth of an inch through it, so it isn't flat. So these things I think really make a difference. So what I want to look at quickly in a moment, get this to one side, is I'll set the necks flat whilst I'm here. So I use the truss rod Allen keys to set it flat, and I'll just check the flat frets, because I think a couple up here were, when I was practicing, a little bit weird. And the fret job is pretty good. There's no sprouts per se as I run my finger down it, but there are a couple of sharper. I mean, how many of these I've got? I've got a Telecaster, I've got a 5-string fretless, and this one. This is the third one. This is the worst fret job of all of them, all the SSX, and it's not bad. So I think I've come to expect a standard that I shouldn't expect from a budget machine. But I think just a little bit of file up there, just to sort of tidy that off, will be good to stop your fingers. So I'll get on with that and check that, and we'll see. Then it's going back together. Okay, so we put it back on. The bridge has gone in nicely. The thing I said in the write-up of this, it's a two-way truss rod. So what I did was I just put the neck straight. And what I found is, as I turn the truss rod away from me as you look at the guitar, that makes this, the nut end go from like that profile, and it just straightens it up. In fact, I think it was like that and it straightened it down. So normally I'm used to the relief being applied in the middle here, but this one seems to be also changing the curvature at the end. And I know I've had some problems there in the past with other guitars. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tune this up. Well, that's that touching that. Let's get that out of the way. Take the final bit of plastic off. Sorry, American flag. It's nothing personal. I should have done that with the strings off, shouldn't I? Note to anyone watching: take the plastic off with the strings off. Pull that off there, like so. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, put it in my magic bin. So what I'll do is I'll just get my tuner up. I think the batteries on this are running out. Need to charge it. So I'll get my other tuner out, tune it up, and we'll see how it goes. But already these pickups are looking close again, so they're going to have to go down. And because it's not, pickups are not on the pick guard, so it's nothing to do with the pick guard. They just need to go down more. But maybe they won't. Let's see. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we put it back together again. One thing to notice, the truss rod is really tight. So please, when you adjust it, I never normally do this with guitars because it's normally a bit more clearance, but you know, undo the string tension, move, because I'm tightening towards me, move the D string, loosen across the G string so you've got space, otherwise you'll bend the string down. These cheap stock strings that I'm going to throw away, I don't care, but on a decent set of strings I wouldn't want to bend them there. It's set up quite nicely. I've got 4 to 5 64ths on the height. When the truss rod was put back flat without strings and the strings are put on, normally that's enough to pull the tension and get the relief you want, but on this guitar it's not. I had to adjust it again, hence loosening the tension. And you know, so when both are up it's very quiet. I don't know if it's got that reverse wound thing. I really need to check that. So on my other jazz bass, if both are the same volume, you get very little noise. Seems to be that, but I could be lying to you, so don't take my word for it. You may notice I've managed to get the pickups much lower now, so let's fret those. It's about right. So if they're too close, then you get horrible noises, you hit the strings, and more importantly, you could end up with it pulling the string a little bit and changing the intonation. The intonation, I wouldn't say it's perfect in the minute. I need to reset it up because of the truss rod change, but it's pretty good. So I'm quite happy with that. Obviously the guitar still is settling, so it changes noise. I can't really play it properly in this position at the minute because I haven't got a strap on it and I'm not sat down. But the tone, let's just put the front pick up, that back, tone all the way up here on the amp, the mids are down. So I really like the sound of this. I mean, it makes it so much easier than my other guitar. And this is holding the guitar in a really strange way, so I just find it easier to slap the stuff out. So for my fat thumbs, the string spacing is just right. So a bit more practice, but you know, the main thing is that compared to my Steinberger, where the strings are like that, so they're much closer, much harder to hit cleanly. So this is lovely. I'll probably put a higher mass bridge on at one point and it seems to fit, so that would be cool. I might turn this back round to the correct or the original facing, but it seems okay. So you get really nice pop out of this. And yeah, it's pretty low action. There's a couple of high frets on the middle here. Nothing to fix at the minute. 4 to 5 64ths is standard. That's pretty damn good. The truss rod is at the 12,000th for there. So the main thing we did different to the stock, we've shielded the thing. This does make it quieter. I'm not noticing so much the change when I touch the bridge. It was quieting it a lot before. Not noticing at the minute. I have to try my orange amp, which is more fussy. Yeah, so we did that. We took the plastic off. No, that was cool. Didn't realise there was an extra plastic, so the guard looks better now. Need to clean it off a bit. We seated these a bit more, so we screwed down a little bit on the screws so we could bring them lower because they were quite high in the first place. We took the bridge out just so that we could get to do the work easily. And I think, as I said, I'll put a higher mass bridge on, but the thing is lovely. I really like this. So thank you very much to my company for giving me some bonus money to let me buy this. That was cool of them. Nice to be appreciated. And yeah, I'll have some fun with this, and hopefully you did too. So cheers and bye bye.